Julianne lost her husband in a car accident, and everything in her life and her son's life changed. They had to start life from scratch because her husband was their only breadwinner. They moved to the ghetto as Anne tried all she could to get a job, and after months of job searching, she finally managed to get a job as a house manager, and the pay was fair enough to help her see her son through high school. Mrs. Marcus was a mean boss to Anne. She overworked her despite her age, and as days passed by, Anne's health deteriorated. One day, Anne woke up and she couldn't move her legs and hands. She was helplessly weak. She called out for her son before he could leave for school and told him,
"Son, I am getting weaker and I don't know what to do because I need to see you through school."
There was silence for some time before Henry said,
"Mom, thank you so much for all you've been doing for us, but it's not my turn to take care of you. I'll convince your boss to allow me to work for her until you get better. But don't worry, Mom, I'll get a way of balancing both school and work."
Henry then tucked her mother in bed and walked to Mrs. Marcus' house to talk to her, and she agreed to offer him the job as he found a way of balancing both school and work. Days passed and things became so overwhelming for Henry. Taking care of his sick mom was draining him because she wasn't getting any better. One Saturday morning, as Henry walked to work, he received a call that his mother had passed on. Out of the shock, he ran back home without calling his boss. He got home and he couldn't believe that his mother was normal. He sat down and wailed beside his mother's body. Minutes later, police siren filled the air and policemen raided Henry's house. They dragged him out, and right outside their shanty house was his boss, Mrs. Marcus, who accused him for raping and killing her daughter. Henry was tongue-tied. He was helpless. He was weak, and he gave in to the police, but his heart was ripping apart. He wanted to be with his mother so much. He wanted to give her a befitting burial. He wanted to say his goodbyes, but it was too late. He was caught in a mishap that he knew nothing about. The police put him in cell for the night, and the next day he was taken to court for trial, where he was tried and found guilty for rape and murder, and he was sentenced to a life imprisonment for something he did not commit. From the moment he stepped foot inside the cold, damp world, he knew he was in a world of torment. There were inmates who were so hungry for power and control. They took the pleasure in tormenting Henry day in and day out. They saw him as an easy prey, a helpless victim to their sadistic desires. It started with taunts and threats, but it soon escalated to physical abuse. Henry was beaten and bruised. His spirit slowly crushed under the weight of their unjust confinement. The guards turned a blind eye to his suffering, adding to the nightmare that was Henry's reality. But it was the nights that were worse. In darkness, when all was quiet except for the distant cry of the tortured souls that surrounded him. At night, Henry soaked in tears, thinking of his past and his dead mother. But that was not all. There were inmates who tried to abuse him sexually, but an inmate by the name James kept saving him. He became his only friend, and because he was feared by many, Henry was safe from all the evil that took place in the prison. He held on to the hope that one day his innocence would be proven and that he would one day walk in freedom again. The end. If you have enjoyed this story this far, please do not leave without giving it a like, subscribe and share, and please consider leaving a comment in the comment section telling me whether you enjoyed the story and telling me whatever city or country you're watching me from for me to give you a shout out on the next episode of Wonder Tales by Julianne.